This is a quick screencast on the Puppet tool. It's been a few weeks since we went over the Puppet tool, but I've had a few requests, so here we go. Let's start. I guess best practices would be to start a new project. So I can do that with Command-Shift-S is the easiest way to save as. I'm going to call this project graph. I'll save it to the desktop. That's fine for now. And so the first thing I want to do is import a file. And I'm going to import this giraffe file. And I want to show you that I can import it. I have a few less options here because there's no layers. It's just a PNG. I can create a composition. I really don't need that. That's what we would do if we imported a layered file. We would make a composition, and all the layered files would come into that composition. This is a lot simpler, so I'm just going to import it as a PNG. I'm going to open it, and you'll see right here, it just comes in on its own. And it kind of needs a composition, so the nice thing is I can make one. I'll make a new composition and make it a main composition. I just clicked on little composition maker right there. You can also use Command N, and I'm going to call this asterisk asterisk main underscore G graph. I want to check my settings, and it looks like they have changed a little bit. So I want to make sure that I am at this one, this HDV HDTV 720 2997. Same thing as before. It looks like I've got 4 seconds on the clock. I think that should be fine for what we're doing. I've got a background color blue, and I'm just going to say that's okay. So I've got this nice blue background here on the stage. I can, if I wanted to, I could make a little grassy plain. So I've got green, I've got a stroke of 0, and I've got this color green. That's fine. That looks good. Now I can just put the giraffe on it. And the giraffe's kind of big. And so some people will tell you, make the art elements exactly the size you need them. The only problem is if you want to blow up at all, that might give you trouble. It'll start to pixelate if I blow up on the giraffe. So I like to bring things in a tiny bit bigger, not crazy bigger, but just a little bigger. I can go to transform on the giraffe. I can bring it scaled down. I don't have any keyframes, so I don't need to worry about it. I put the giraffe right in the middle, and there we go. I'm going to make this giraffe kind of do a simple step. You can do much more, and I'm going to do it with the Puppet tool, and I want to show you a couple things in the Puppet tool. If I click and hold down on the end here, you'll see that I have the Puppet tool, I have the Puppet overlap tool, and I have the Puppet starch tool, and I'll try to go into those things just a little bit to give you a taste of what the Puppet tool is like. I'm not great at the Puppet tool, so I won't pretend to be, but I do know that we can go in here and I can, I'm going to leave this open so you can kind of see what it's doing. I'm going to close the shape layer. Matter of fact, I'll even close transform for now. And I'm just going to start putting down pins. So I'll start, oh, I do want to show you one thing. Let's start here. I'll start here. I'll start at the very bottom of this hoof. And I'm going to start dragging this. Actually, let's do a couple. I'll do 3. Right? And I want to show you what it's doing. I'm going to open up the mesh, and I'm going to open up deform, and you'll see right here, every pin I make is going to give me a Puppet pen tool in the deform. So it's made a mesh. It's basically deforming the mesh, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just actually, here, so before I've put a bunch of puppet pins down, I'm going to drag this around, and I want you to see how it kind of makes the rest of the giraffe react to what I'm doing, and that's kind of the way this mesh thing works. I just hit Command Z to change that. I'm going to go ahead and put more pin tools down. So I've got foot, knee, and where the leg starts. And I'll be pretty happy with that. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put a few more pins down for the neck. I'll do that, top of the head, and maybe the nose. So all those things I can move. And if I start to move them now, you'll see that because of the other pin tools that are down there, they're kind of holding the giraffe in place. So I can animate these things, and let's try to do that right now. I'm going to try, oh, you can also name these pins. If I click on it, it'll show it, but I could go hit the return and call this nose, right? And I could click up here and see that pin, and I can hit return and call it head, and so on, right? If I click that, I think, yep, I clicked it, it showed up right there. I can hit return and call it neck. So you could go down, that could be a good way to keep track of your pins, because right now it's a little confusing because I've just got a bunch of pins, but I know that this is pin 1, and if I click on it, it'll pretty much let me know that that's pin 1. So let's go ahead. I don't think I want to start from a standing position, so I'll start, say, right here, and I'll just make this thing kind of gallop, right? I'll move these things back. Okay, so it's going to be super simple, and at some point you might want to do the tail, but I'm going to start, and what we can do is we can show, let me show these puppet pins a little better. If I hit the U key, it will show that I've got all these keyframes now, right? Got head and nose and all the way down to all these. So I've got kind of a starting point with these keyframes, and I can go down my timeline a bit, and I can start manipulating them. So let's just move these a little further up, make them really prance. And I can maybe, I don't want to do that yet. I'll wait until these come down. So, like I said, I'm not great at this, so I'm just going to do a few and kind of figure it out later. Make sure these are kind of in place. Okay. And let's go ahead and make them all the way down kind of on the ground. Now that's a little drastic, but just for not keeping this video going the entire time. So I'll do that, and then I'll go ahead, once those are down, I'll give them a little bit of time, and I'll make the back feet go. And I really won't belabor this for too long. Alright, so let's just kind of see. That's not super convincing at all. Oh, what I needed to do here, so let's delete these. What I needed to do is kind of tell our dumb actors, remember, that they should stay still. So we're going to make them, we're going to give them a keyframe down here, and I can go down here and make sure that I know what I'm doing, and that's probably another good reason to kind of keep track of where my keyframes are, because I know I've got more than that. Keyframe, keyframe, I think. So then if I pick these guys up down the way, make them blue, gallop. Well, that's a sticky one right there. Oh, I think I added another dot. That's what happened. So you just have to make sure that you're on them, because you don't want to add more keyframe or more puppet pins, right? And that's the problem. And maybe these actually want to, yeah, I think that's a little better. Anyway, this is not going to get to a perfect place, but I want you to see, well, I want you to see that I can move these things independently, and I can even like maybe make the neck go, maybe the head, and then, right. So the reason why I'm really not going to spend too much time on making a realistically running a giraffe is that I want to show you a couple other things that if I take, I'm going to use the J key to come back to here. That's the nose. What I want to do is I want to find one of these keyframes down here, and I want to make this foot come all the way over here. Now that's a weird place for it to end up here, but say if I didn't want this foot to come in front of this, which really wouldn't happen, I wanted it to be behind, what I'd have to do is use the puppet overlap tool. As soon as I do, I can see a little outline right there. What I want to do is make sure that this front leg, and you have to find the outline of the original front leg and fill it full of these little points. And then what it does is when you see it roll back again, and let's just use the pointer tool, what it will do is it'll actually put that piece in front instead of behind. Does that make sense? He's running really funny right now. So that's one thing that you can do. The other thing, the other tool that you can use here to make your vision happen. So if I didn't want these to be wiggly, because you can do that if it's this particular style. If I wanted to make it more like joints here, so I've got knees and I want these to be straight and not wiggly, I could actually starch those pieces, and I could go back here to the starch tool. So I'll just grab that and do that. So you're seeing, and I'll blow up on it a little bit. What you're seeing, I use the hand tool to blow up. What you're seeing is this is the original outline, and I can start to starch these pieces, right? So now, if you look at it, it will start to look a little bit more like it's just jointed instead of, so it's got bones instead of all the bones being wiggly. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so just wanted you to see that, right? So it's a little, we've got more like knee joints up there instead of just noodles, right? So that's really brief, and like I said, I'm not going to necessarily go into making this guy run. If I wanted to leave him in one place and run, I could always make things going by him here. So it would still be like a tracking shot instead of trying to make him run across the screen, which would be a little more difficult to do. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and I will see you in class. Okay, thanks.